What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Double B here, back with another video. This is Tuddy Talk Week 14. Before we get into it, just do a quick recap of last week. Week 13. It's a pretty below average week. Pretty close to average, 4 and 6. Lost 0.45 units. Brings our current record up to 2.95 units on the season. Pretty much that's how it's been the last few weeks. Just been kind of average, win a little bit, lose a little bit. Hoping to turn it around this week and make it a really good week. Hoping to smash it. So not gonna waste any more time. Let's just get into it. For the first game, it's the Rams and Ravens. I'm going with Lamar Jackson, anytime touchdown score over at Hard Rock for plus 220. The Rams allow the second most rushing touchdowns to quarterbacks. We're at 5 this year, so Lamar hasn't scored in a while. He hasn't had a rushing touchdown in quite a few weeks, so if he's going to do it, it should be this game. The game's supposed to be rain, I believe, last time I looked at the weather report, so I don't know how great the weather conditions will be, so it might lead him to more scrambles, so hopefully he'll get the job done for us tomorrow. Next game up is Carolina versus New Orleans, going with Alvin Kamara. Anytime touchdown over at Bet Rivers for minus 137. Pretty chalky play here, but I think it's the right play. Carolina has been awful against running backs. They allowed 20 touchdowns so far this year to running backs. Kamara's a touchdown machine. No Taysom Hill is not expected to play either tomorrow, which is huge. Sometimes he'll steal rush attempts at the goal line, so with him not being there, I like it even more. It's in the dome. They're at home. Should be a great spot for him to score tomorrow. Shop around. Last time I did look, I think Hard Rock or Bet365, I think both of them had like 120, minus 120, so odds will fluctuate. So, just whatever you can find. That's the best odds that I found at the point of recording this video, so this is what it'll be documented as, so minus 137. Next one up is the Colts versus Bengals. I'm going with Joe Mixon on ESPN Bet at minus 102. Pretty good value here. Other books. Other books had it like FanDuel. I think had it minus like 140, 150. Quite a few books. DraftKings I think had it up there too. So very important to shop around, get as many books as possible. Definitely helps you long term. So definitely like Joe Mixon to score. Jake Browning hasn't been actually too bad, been able to move the ball, so I like Mixon here to get it done for us. Next game up is one of my least favorite games for this week. Going with David Njoku over at ESPN Bet at plus 375. Just going for value here. Jacksonville isn't great against tight ends, and Cleveland, they've been using him. They've been targeting him a lot the last few weeks, especially in their red zone. So, taking a shot with him at home. Hopefully, he gets the job done for us there tomorrow. Good value, like I said, at 375. Can't complain. Next game up is Tampa Bay versus Atlanta. It's Chris Godwin, anytime touchdown at FanDuel at plus 270. He hasn't been being used. His usage has been very low the last few weeks. His wife actually went on a rant on her Instagram about it. The coach was saying that because his injury hasn't been feeling right, basically, that's why he hasn't been playing as much, getting as much targets, and his wife, went to Instagram and said that was a lie. So, typically when this happens, I like to go to the player. So, I like this spot for him. Crazy value for Chris Godwin here. Especially Atlanta hasn't allowed a rushing touchdown to a running back all year this year. So if anybody's gonna score, it's probably gonna be through the air. I know Mike Evans is the obvious play, which can't blame me if you're gonna go with him. But for value wise, I definitely like Godwin to score. Next game up is Detroit versus Chicago. I'm going with Cole Kmet. Anytime touchdown score over at Caesars at plus 275. Another just red zone machine. He has quite a few touchdowns this year. Detroit struggles against tight ends. I like him to see the red zone. It's a good division game. They're at home. Fairly high target total. I think it was 43.5, 44.5 last time I looked at it. So I like him to get it done. My least favorite game of the slate here, Houston versus the Jets. I'm going with Brevin Jordan, anytime touch and score over at FanDuel at plus 370. For those of you who don't know, he's starting for Dalton Schultz. He had a pretty good game last week. I cashed actually his prop, his yards prop. I believe it was like a 22.5 or 24.5. Gave that out on the Discord. I cashed like the first drive, so they definitely seem to be going to him a lot. And with no Tank Dell also not being there, you know, someone's gonna have to step up besides Nico Collins. It could be him. The Jets do struggle against tight ends. They're number one against receivers, but they're at the bottom of the league against tight ends and covering tight ends. I believe they have allowed the most touchdowns to tight ends. I think they've allowed like 7 this year. So if Houston's gonna score, I think they're gonna have to look for Jordan in the red zone. So let's hope he can get it done for us again. Not my favorite game. Probably the least favorite game. My least favorite game this with the Cleveland game. Not a huge fan of it, but hopefully he can get the job done for us. Now we move to the 4:30 games, and its first one up is Seattle versus San Fran. Going with Deebo Samuel over at FanDuel at plus 120. You know, I love going with Deebo. We got coming off a monster game last week. Love guys that are dual threats that can catch and run it. So like I said, plus money for him. I love the matchup. Seattle struggled. Their defense is not that great. They struggled. 49ers slapped them up on Thanksgiving. So I think Seattle will keep it a little more competitive this game, but I still think San Fran will have their way with them. Next game up is Minnesota versus Las Vegas. I'm going with Alexander Madison anytime touch and score at BetMGM at plus 165. Could get a little weird and go with Abdullah over at Las Vegas. He's like plus 850. For those of you who don't know, it's the backup running back for the Raiders. He used to play for Minnesota, so anything can happen. He might get a touchdown. But for the sake of the video, I'm going to go with Madison here. Las Vegas, again, they struggle against running backs. Justin Jefferson is coming back, so you know, wouldn't mind if you went with him either. But I think Madison has a good game. You know, again with no Cam Akers, he's the main guy. They use Ty Chandler, but he's more of a pass catcher. So if they get in the red zone, they're running it. It's going to be with Madison. So I like the spot for him for sure. Next game up is Denver versus the Chargers. I'm going with Cortland Sutton. Anytime touch and score over at Caesars for plus 190. You know, he scored 9 out of his 12 last games, and Chargers are last against receivers for the year. They get killed by receivers. He's a red zone target monster. Russell Wilson loves throwing it to him in the red zone. The fact that his odds are even still this high after scoring has how much he's been scoring is crazy. You know, I like the spot for him. Like I said, the Chargers don't have anyone to really stop him, so love the spot, love the value here. And the last game up is Buffalo versus Kansas City. I'm going with Stephon Diggs, anytime touch and score over at Caesars again for plus 115. This is a big game for both teams. Buffalo especially, they need this game. I think they're going to rely on Diggs a lot. I think Diggs is going to show up and play. Has a great track record against Kansas City. I believe he scored in 3 out of the last 4 games against Kansas City. So, you know, he does well against them. They're gonna, like I said, they're gonna have to lean on their stars. Dawson Knox is coming back for them as well. But yeah, I think this game should be a good game. And I like, you know, I think the Bills honestly get it done here. But yeah, I'm rolling with Diggs. Hopefully he gets it done for us. But yeah, that's it. Before I leave, you know, appreciate if you guys could like, comment, subscribe. Comment down below if I missed anyone. If you guys, you know, like certain guys that I didn't have on here to score this week. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at DoubleBPicks. You know, the ladder challenge is still going for you. For those of you who aren't from Twitter, We completed the ladder challenge last week, turning $25 into almost $500. Going for 1,000 this week. Would have been 1,000 last week, but the 1 o'clock game went to overtime. Couldn't get the 4 o'clock game in. But it's whatever. We're cash on Thursday night with Ezekiel Elliott, so we're rolling it over to 1 p.m. So make sure to follow me over there at @BB_picks. But other than that, let's cash this weekend. Peace.